I was born in Willamette Falls Hospital, came home to Canby, where my dad took the felony and my mom took the misdemeanor for the 5 kilos that was under my crib. I just grew up around it. So there was always some plants at my aunt's house. They'd grow grapes and there'd be a pot plant in the backyard. And it was, everybody always had a joint. Get into high school and, all my friends smoke pot. And so then I start smoking pot. And then it occurs to you that you know some guys that could get some pot. And then your pot would be free if you just gave it to all your friends. And that kind of naturally progressed into a pot plant when we were 18 or so, 17 or 18. And time progressed. And eventually I bought like a little box out of Canada that you could grow, like you could cover it with a tablecloth in a back room and grow 6 tiny hydroponic plants. And that lasted for about 1 round before that box needed to get sold and a room needed to be built. And then a room turned into multiple rooms and multiple rooms turned into shops. Shops turned into companies and companies turned into documentaries and brand names. And in the whole interim, I guess what makes it interesting is in growing up and all of that, I still, I went to high school, I passed my classes, I did 20 years in the Marines, just over 20 years in the Marines as a reservist, work for the fire department now, have this company. Everything's a very odd mix of how that life came together. My high school guidance counselor would definitely be surprised. Didn't see this one coming, did you? It used to be long ago that, you grew pot. Pot went in a bag. People wanted the pot. And then I started talking with friends, that other friends that grew, and we started talking about it. It's like, I really think that we need to start separating our strains. That's the way that, we really can identify ourselves. And, didn't really consider it at the time, but that's the birth of a business, right? I mean, that's when you start realizing that you need to legitimately start becoming a business. And so we started separating strains. Like, ooh, let's grow 2 strains, 3 strains, 5 strains. And there's definitely was there a divide there where a lot of guys are like, no, we just grow the biggest, hardiest, prettiest plants and we don't care what they are. And, well, yeah, but this one may not get as big, but it's different. And I think people want different. We're in Oregon. You got to do that. And trying to build a brand isn't just, let's see how much money we can dump into advertising and convince the world that we're great. I believe that trying to build a brand is trying to build a high-quality, well-run, ethical company that is sustainable and a participator in the community in a whole, starting philanthropy programs, working with the Oregon Cannabis PAC to go to D.C., to talk to congressmen, to help build a system that isn't slanted in one direction. Because as this gets bigger, there are more and more politics involved. And as more and more politics become involved, then you start to see the companies that want to survive themselves and the companies that want to build an industry. And I would like to land on the side of building an industry, even if it's the sacrifice of my own company, because I'm still the one that has to get up in the morning and look in the mirror. I'm still the one that has to walk down the street and live with everyone that's been in this community with us, whether it's in the shadows, still in the shadows, starting to come out. And so as a whole, as a country, there's plenty of people out there who smoke marijuana, and as federal regulation breaks down, we're going to be exporting that. So there's a belief, I like to keep a belief in this company of constantly being humbled by that fact and doing everything we can to help everyone else that's starting to come up in this industry realize that we're not as big a competitors as we all think we are. There's a lot of room in this market for a lot of us. Some will make it, some won't make it, but are we going to do it right the first time? No way. There's so much that we can't foresee coming down the pipe. There's no way we'll get it right the first time. But we need to get it right. I was reading in a publication not long ago that Amsterdam is talking about shutting their whole system down and revamping it as they watch what Oregon does, which was a pretty interesting statement. I mean, I don't know what Amsterdam's going to do in the future. They're obviously kind of the go-to for all of us in the industry and have been for years. It'd be interesting to see those tables turn. Oregon's legalization, California's future legalization, from Mendocino and Humboldt to Seattle, that's a brand that's existed for decades. Now that we get to show it off, you can bet that I'm not the only one that wants to make sure that we can do it right. I would not say that Oregon cannabis is better than anywhere else. There are, I believe, inflammatory statements in this industry. I'm sure you guys have met it. Growers are very prideful of what they do, some to the stance of arrogance. There are growers all over the country that are growing incredible products. Oregon has been fortunate enough to have a rich history of a legal system that has allowed us, in a climate that's set for it, to really expand our knowledge of growing cannabis. It's hard to grow cannabis at 5,700 feet when you're dropping into freezing temperatures, and the law is prohibitive. In Colorado, in Texas, where it's arid climate and the law is extremely prohibitive. All over the country, you kind of look at laws, and so I think that the Pacific Northwest, between climate and legal history, has given way to a lot of experience. And because of that experience, we've had an opportunity to cultivate a brand as a region and learn a lot about the industry. And that's what has given us an advantage. I don't know, you blink and all of a sudden you realize there's so much more to learn. Every day that I am growing plants or marketing a company or trying to build a business, every day I'm learning more about how much more I have to learn. And I think that the satisfaction you get with growing your 4 plants in your backyard is the same satisfaction you get from growing tomatoes in your garden, and you see them ripen, and then you see some of them get eaten by bugs, and you see some of them get strife with some form of nutrient deficiency that you don't understand. And I think that the great thing is that as we move forward, that I'm really excited about, is the amount of information that's out there. You know, here very soon, and to an extent now, you can pick up the phone and call people to find out what's wrong with your plant. Oh my God, I'm getting yellowing. Well, is it in the top leaves or bottom leaves? You couldn't do that 5 years ago. And I think part of the pride that comes with a lot of growers is the pride that you get in fixing problems on your own, figuring it out. And honestly, those of us who've been doing this a long time, we figured it out by killing plants over and over and over. Mistakes after mistakes. You know, you learn that you can't run nutrients down your drain pipes because they cause roots to grow, and roots crush drain pipes. That's an expensive mistake. So anybody can grow a plant. How much time and effort you want to put into the quality of that plant, there are going to be some 4-plant crops out there that are beautiful that none of us may ever see. Just like there are probably private bottles of wine from people who grow grapes and make their own wine and keep it at their house and share it with their family that are going to be amazing. Figuring out how to make sure that we don't lose that touch for us as a company, that we never get so big that we lose sight of that attention to detail, if we're fortunate enough to get that big. I think that's important. At least it's important to my company and how I want to run it. And so taking care of 4 plants, there are many, many days that go by that I miss the days of taking care of 6 plants. Now it's 4, but original metal cards were 6, and so I miss those days sometimes. Wouldn't trade them, but I miss them. I have no clue where this is going to go. I wake up daily freaking out that I am dumping money down a black hole that I'm going to get run over with by Philip Morris or Anheuser-Busch or Brennan Kennedy. That's scary. This has been a good chunk of my life. To think that this could turn into a 4-plant hobby in my backyard, all the money and time and effort that I've spent, and that's not me, that's all of us. In the state of Oregon, it's stressful. I don't know when this got less fun, but it got less fun. And it's not really whether you win or lose, it's the fight. I've always loved the fight.